from the holding the meeting and when originally scheduled, the town meeting, they could put it off and apply for a waiver, and Derek was supposed to apply for that.
So now we're applying for a waiver and asking to be put on the list. Okay.
Yes,
Now that's the 36.
yes.
All right.
You were using names, I'm sorry, I couldn't associate the name with that particular article. I wasn't that familiar with the streets and all when you were naming streets.
Oh, Wankinko was the one in Swiss Beach.
Yes,
So there, Mr. Sullivan is going to ask for a waiver for the federal funding for the 36 million?
to apply for it, yes. That is my understanding.
What about the funding to repair the streets in, I'll say, Swiss Beach?
What article is that, please?
That would be Article 3 for the $3 million. Wankinko, Bayview,
To repair
Columbia.
Swift Beach sewer lines into Ruggles Pump Station.
the ones that are failed that we're pumping constantly because they're overflowing.
Receive $3 million for repair of the failed gravity sewer lines, including but not limited to repair and replacement of sewer lines in Wankiko, Murphy, Columbia, Barnes, Pleasant,
got it.
and Bayview Ave, as well as payment of all other costs incidental related thereto.
Because I thought Danny Warren came and spoke to us on May 4th to talk about that project. And I thought it had, well, that's what that money would be used for Mr. Warren to repair those gravity lines on a road in Swiss Beach called Wankinko.
So what was your question again, Sandy, please? You asked.
How can we repair the roads if we don't have the funding until July? I thought they started the repairs already. I was hoping that someone from town could be here to answer our questions.
Isn't the project complete? Once you dig a hole, you have to finish filling it and resurfacing it appropriately?
You put plates over the hole, but that hole,
Temporarily, when you're fixing it,
Yeah.
when you're finished, it should be
But-
resurfaced. Acceptable to the town.
maybe I'm not being clear, but I thought the 3 million was to fund the repairs of the roads of the sewer system in Swiss Beach. Because I thought they was going to start, if not started already, because they've been digging down there.
I'm making a presumption, if they've issued a contract, the contract at the finish of it is supposed to replace the roadway. In some way, it's written into the contract, they either resurface the patches that they've dug, or they resurface the whole section.
We haven't begun to talk, that has never been mentioned anywhere, but we know they have to repave everything once they're done. But I'm concerned about the,
That was a whole separate thing. That had nothing to do with the Swift Beach contract as far as the sewer was concerned. Once we did the original project, which was the grinder pumps, Dave Menard was going to repave all of the streets with a different funding. But now that the Swift Beach project has been wiped out, I thought that the May 4th meeting, well, I thought it was ridiculous, number one, but I was under the impression that we had to do it quick, so that it could be done before Memorial Day. If it hasn't started already, it can't start now until after the summer season. You can't do it. You can't tear up Wantico during the summer season. You just can't do it.
so who do we ask in this town, what is happening with the sewer lines, the failed sewer lines on Swiss Beach?
The only one that's an emergency failure
Is
is the Wantico, okay? But, and what that is, Guy has been bypassing that. He's been pumping it out, what, every 10 days, Guy?
Once a week. I would say
Well,
once a
and
week.
it should probably go up now to twice a week.
If not more, because someone sent me pictures of the sewer overflowing down at Murphy.
Yeah, I know. That's where it shows
So how
up.
much more is it going to overflow before we can get it repaired?
Excuse me, the guy right there is since,
I don't know when that picture was. I don't know of a recent overflow. There was an overflow last year. I think we have a total of 2 overflows that I'm aware of in the last couple of years. So we pump it. We have a meter that tells us when it's filling. We check it every single day. When it gets to a certain point, we pump it. And we'll continue to do that until you get it repaired.
The pictures that you saw were of a Monday when nobody was available that weekend to check it.
Guy, are you that short-staffed that sometimes you are unable to do the daily checks or something?
We're enough short-staffed that there's sometimes I can't do anything. There are days when we have 1 or 2 staff members in, and that's to cover all the 45 stations, plus the treatment plant checked daily. So we have a crisis. We have an issue that is really a crisis.
I would suggest perhaps hone in on that area. If they skip anything, skip something that works all the time and kind of focus on that. You're having the greater incidence, even if it's twice a year.
We check that daily because it's critical. It's like Narrows Pump Station has to be checked daily because it's critical. A day without checking Narrows Pump Station can be catastrophic. We had an incident that flooded out in a condo association. So everything, there's some really critical things. We have 1 or 2 people in, we do the critical things, and after we get those done, we do what we can. Simple as that. We take care of the Redwood pump station for the elderly, and it failed. It had a catastrophic failure, so we spent 2 days getting it online for the elderly. So we're so short-staffed that simple things become critical.
Mr. Chair,
but we'll
is
stay on
it
it.
possible to ask somebody in this town to give us a status for the repair of the failed gravity line on Wonkinko? What's done, what will be done? Somebody please tell the sewer commissioners what's happening on our failed sewer line. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, I'm making a note to make sure that we have someone the next meeting.
Or it may not be here, but someone can get maybe an email or something to give us a status.
I will, if I find out prior to the meeting, you will know anyway. I'll email everyone. But this is that particular one now, you're referring to Article 3.
Yes.
That gives me the detail
The
I
funding.
need, yeah.
Yeah. And if that is used from our reserves, can we continue to use those in FY '24, or are they limited to '23?
Certain funds are closed out at the end of '23, and this is taking place in FY '24, and
If it isn't already being done without, I don't know what's happening down there.
it says they can borrow under certain Mass General laws. What it doesn't tell me in the body of it, or the motion, and it should in an explanation, but I don't have one, the source of the funding on a local level. That's the key we always ask. Where is it coming on a local level? Either out of our, we're going to do a betterment, or we're going to take it out of our,
Well, the 3 million,
Disaster
keep in mind,
stabilization.
the 3 million was replacing the one from the previous article.
yes,
So this is no different than, we just sort of went from the grinder pumps to repairs of it using the same dollar amounts that were approved in a prior town meeting, which you do not have a copy of that one. You just have Article 2 that says we're closing it. We are rescinding,
we're rescinding the contract, so there's nothing to be done down there. There's nothing
using the
contracted.
contract for the grinder pumps, and we're using that money to repair.
We are reallocating it.
Yes, that's what that article was for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay,
But the original 3 million was for the entire project.
Including the cost of the grinder pumps, yes.
Right. Now we're going to eat it all up, just taking care of Wantico for the summer.
potential.
Well, I mean, the funds would not be used to,
And if I may, would we give some thought to giving it to an outside contractor and tell him, pump it 3 times a week and do it at night? How do you think that would go over down there?
Oh, I think that'd be fine.
How would you fund it?
I was,
Sorry,
We'll fund it with that 3 million.
no, 3 million is not,
Funded with under some sort of emergency, showing them that it leaks on the beach.
If you do it under emergency, it's funding through a different vehicle. This article doesn't cover that.
If Guy is strapped for personnel, and we're going into the summer season, pumping at night makes much more sense. Okay, so the pump's gonna be a little noisy, but that's not that bad. And it only takes two hours, Guy?
2 to 4.
So 3 hours. So if they did it 3 times a week for the next 3 months,
okay, Guy, do you have the funds for that?
Well, that would be a decision between Guy and Derek, because it's occupying the personnel and reassigning them.
So actually, what it is a contract, so I don't have a concept of the cost. Would have to get a feel of what the cost is. So either you got to bid it if it's over $50,000, or you got to quote it if it's under $50,000. I have no idea what it would cost,
So
so
what are you spending now?
I'm paying their salaries. I'm paying their salaries. I don't know what you mean. What am I paying now? These guys are paid hourly wages.
Okay,
They're paid
so
$20
you're
an hour
using
to
your
go out there.
staff
Yes,
to go down there and pump it out
that's correct.
in your vehicles,
That's correct.
how many times a week?
Right now, we're
10
doing
days?
it, yeah, we're saying, I'll say a couple times a week to be sure. Usually we pump it beginning of the week and before the weekend starts, because we know the weekend's going to be busy, so come Monday morning, we need to pump it. And we know the weekend's going to be, so we start before that. So that's what we try to do.
And you have funds to continue that?
I have a payroll, yes, I pay the guys out
funds,
of
yes,
payroll.
but personnel, no.
exactly.
Is it conceivable that we can use our equipment and use outside personnel?
I don't,
And just
probably.
have to pay labor costs?
I don't know, it's probably, the town would have to direct me to do that because it's private and public, and I'm not so sure that relationship, that's beyond me.
You got a
I'm sure it's just,
liability.
it's liability, I'm sure it's just a question and get some answers, and might need to be some assurances, but I don't have an answer, and I wouldn't venture to answer. That'd be a question for the town, and they could give us a better guidance than I could.
Be a good question, since they're so short-handed, not only with pumping Wayne Kinko, but other issues that come up that need to be addressed.
We have a contractor, we have a contract with Weston and Sampson to do all our emergencies. They're doing our repairs. I don't know what we've spent so far, quite a bit, to this point, and we'll renew it for next year. But they do all the things that we can't get to, which is all repairs, pump station, plant, replace pumps, et cetera, et cetera. So we do have something in place to ease the burden when something becomes critical.
Other questions, concerns? Go ahead. Peter,
Excuse me?
any other questions or concerns?
Are you so short of personnel that if you offered them premium pay, they wouldn't come in a couple of nights a week?
They get time and a half. That would be the premium pay. I'd have to offer what the contract allows.
Tell them to do it
Anything-
after midnight and they can get double time.
It's the only time double time applies is to a holiday and to Sunday. And we've done it on a Sunday and we've done it on a holiday, so that's when they get double time. Any other overtime after 40 is time and a half, doesn't matter what time of the day it is. 'Cause
Do you think they'd go for it?
I'd have to ask them, that'd be a union and the town decision, it's beyond me. That's not something I'd say do it and they do it. That's beyond me. Who wouldn't go for more money? Heck, if I offer them 10 cents more, they'd probably
Now,
jump
is there
on it.
any way, is there any other way it can be pumped?
I don't know. Pump's the only thing I know of.
I mean, can we bring an outside contractor in?
They have pumps. Outside contractors would have, we have a 6-inch trash pump. They probably have them too. Sure. Contractors do everything. They move water, they move sewer, I'm sure of it.
But we need a contract.
Need a contract.
We need to identify the cost.
Find the cost,
We
find a
may have to
contract,
put it
yes.
out to bid if the cost is more than 50,000.
That's correct.
If you put it out to bid and go that process, you have to include the time expires during that process.
Well,
You have so many
this has to
days.
start next week.
I don't think we're going to develop a solution here this evening. It's going to be difficult. We don't have any impediments to our desire to get it fixed. We have the impediments on paper that force us to go through certain processes to get them. You're giving the guys extra time. Who wouldn't want extra money? Like, their guys work hard enough now, they should get extra money.
These are all of the questions I had on May 4th, and I couldn't understand why everything had to be rush, rush, rush. Why couldn't we just get the emergency, the funding and just do one HECO and then deal with the rest of it at a later date? But it had to be done on May 4th.
And,
Now we're no place.
yep. All of a sudden, it wasn't that critical to have it done on May 4th, because our town meeting didn't happen.
And the criticality hasn't changed.
No. All right.
That's the disappointing part. Okay, moving on, 4C, deposition of unused FY23 funds.
Well,
at the
what,
clo-
so what are we gonna do about it?
We can't do anything about it, but, Peter,
Well, we can't tell people that.
I understand that, but I have the frustration of wanting to give them some explanation that they deserve.
So it's business as usual. Our sewer staff will go down there and pump it out several times a week. It
Yes.
can just continue as what they're doing now.
I've been doing it for 3 years, so, I mean, it hasn't changed.
Now, have you got coverage for the long weekend, guy?
I've got a contractor coming in Sunday to run the plant because we don't have a license, because it's a holiday, and I do have coverage for the weekend. I hired another part-timer from a
Have you
plant
got
in
enough
New
coverage
Bedford.
to do this pumping?
The pumping will be done. They'll do it. That's if everything else. Matter of fact, we pump if it's the only thing we get done. It's that critical.
If the pumping's not done and that spills onto the beach is gonna be closed for the summer. Think of the ramifications. Because the sewer that the picture shows is past Wanquico, closer to the beach on Murphy.
I don't think it's ever made the beach. I've got pictures also. I've never seen it make the beach.
I have.
And I think you're
Have it.
committed to pumping it out
Yeah, we
a
just keep
couple of
pumping
times a
it.
week.
Yes.
So as long as you stay on top of it, it
should be
shouldn't be
okay.
a problem.
I'm sorry, but if it leaks at Murphy and a rain comes down, guess where it's going to flow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water.
Yeah. Okay.
What are the circumstances for declaring an emergency, for one? The criteria for declaring an emergency, for two? And would that, nothing less than provide a better stopgap than we're using now? Because you can't fix it on an emergency basis. You have to repair a particular problem, a very specific problem, when you declare an emergency.
No, we have to put a Band-Aid on it for the summer. But we gotta put a big Band-Aid on it because if it leaks, that's it.
Yeah, but just to compare it to my remarks a few moments ago, we have all these restrictions. We can declare an emergency. We
I
have,
thought that's what we were doing on May 4th. And that it was going to be fixed before Memorial Day.
well,
The emergency part of it, on that hybrid Zoom meeting.
I don't recall anything that could have,
Well, that's the
Satisfied
same
the
one that
emergency.
gave us the explanation of how he's going to redo the pipes, that we still don't know how they're going to do it.
From the
That we
May,
had to vote right away and get it passed.
yep, from the May 4th notes, the commissioners authorized the TA to enter into an agreement regarding the alternative plan for sewer improvements and repairs presented here tonight, which means Danny Warren's. So we authorized the TA to do something on May 4th.
Placing blame is not going to do any good at this
No.
point.
But
And-
I mean, I think we're all in trouble.
that says we thought it was that critical to work on it as soon as possible. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, I'm going to look into an outside contractor to pump 3 times a week, try to get a handle on costs and see if we can get that done. So is that something the board would like me to do? So I wrote it down, so I'll work on that and give you some answers.
would you like a motion to that effect?
I would suppose, it seems that today everything has to have a motion or endorsement by the
At least you have
commissioners,
some
so I would
solid
absolutely,
direction.
absolutely, I would do that, and it would make a lot of clarity to a lot of other folks.
May I ask for a motion? May I ask for a motion for what Guy has outlined, that he'll hire an outside contractor?
No, he will not hire, he will look
Look
into.
into it.
I
Okay.
didn't hear a hire, I said he would look into the cost, correct? And
That's correct.
availability.
And
That's-
then, yes, because we'd have to see, I got to know direction. It's going to be quoted or
Yeah.
bid, the parameters,
All he does.
our equipment, all the things that Peter brought up. I got to vet it, but just, I'll do it. I just want it to be the board's agreement. I want everybody to be in agreement that I'm going to do
Okay.
that.
Well, can we spend 50,000 and get it started? And in the meantime,
We can't
figure out
appropriate, we can't appropriate yet, not until we have the information. We have to have that first. We can't arbitrarily appropriate amount, because then we have to go back and fix it.
we can't have a time and material contract?
Not yet, no.
I'll look into it, Mr. Chairman, only because I got notified by the accountant, there's some bills that we've paid that shouldn't have been paid because we thought this article was going to happen, and it may devastate the budget. So let me look into that along with what you're trying to do. Maybe we can get into this budget. I'll let you know at the next meeting, but I'll do both. I'll look
I
at
would-
both.
I would
Next
appreciate-
meeting is...
If you have the
we need-
If you have the information prior to that, please, just send
I can get it to you, and then you can,
I'll send it to everyone.
sounds good. I can do that. So I'm going to put it as soon as possible.
But you're going to be able to cover it over the long weekend?
Yes. Yes, we'll have to make it happen. Along with the other stations and everything else we have to do, Peter, we'll add into the list. We just got to
Hey,
do it.
if it comes to it, call me. I can man a pump.
Don't forget those words.
You know where I live.
Okay, I'll come get you. But we'll,
And I got somebody that'll hold the other end of
That's
the...
right.
so we're good.
Clean end.
So,
There is no
problem solved,
clean
we're good.
Okay.
Lousy situation.
And for C, disposition.
Sorry, we never got a
We
second,
need a
we never
second.
got a motion, we never got a second, we never got a vote.
Indeed, and Guy said he would do it anyway without one. Is it your
Okay, so-
preference- Is it your preference to have a motion? I'll entertain one.
If you, from
You're
my,
looking into it anyway.
I'll look into it, but I would suggest that there is some type of vote. If it moves forward, I can move it forward after I get the information to you. It just seems that with the confusion of knowing and not knowing, it's become complicated to do anything without the board's knowledge and vote. So I would suggest we do something, have it in writing, and then we can move forward.
Okay, I'll make a motion that Mr. Campina,
Sandy, just a second, please. Can we make a motion and say, and spend up to 50,000?
If available, if appropriated or something like
Where are you
that.
getting the funds?
From the emergencies? The Band-Aid,
So we don't
the
have a
first
line
aid,
item.
the first aid room.
Has to have a line
No,
item.
I just, we
I
can't,
understand what your point is and why you're doing it, and I agree. It would expedite it, knowing that there's amount out there. If Guy is able to go forward with it, he's already got the money appropriated. So we have to come out of a line. Would it be under stabilization?
I'm going to give you a line, Mr. Chairman. Give me 1 second. Let me see if my budget is to me. I have a line called unforeseen, and I believe it's funded up to $200,000 or $300,000. What my concern is that the accountant called me and said that she may need to use that for bills that we paid. So let me find out. If she does not use all of that, then we have a line that says unforeseen, and to utilize those funds, we come in front of this board. This board authorizes the use of those funds, then I take it to the town administrator, and those funds are able to be used.
in what fiscal year is that money?
Every year. This year, it's in this year. In 2024, there's the same,
We're in 2023. Is
That's
there
right.
funds available in that line?
it is correct. It's available every single budget year.
I will try again. Has there been any expenditures from that line in FY '23?
I didn't hear you say expenditures.
One
No.
more. You're saying that bills were paid that funds did not exist, and she may have,
You want the
She may
balance
have
left
to.
in the account now.
I don't know. Nothing's been expended, but she may expend it. Nothing's been expended
may
to this
expend
date.
happens in
Then use the word, Sandy, just.
accounting.
Judy?
Yeah.
From the account, from unseen fund,
Unforeseen. We have,
unforeseen.
I thought I had my
funding.
budget with me, but we have a line called unforeseen. Absolutely.
That way we don't have a dollar value. There's no limit.
In what fiscal year funding?
We're still in FY '23.
which happens which ends in a month.
And we'll have that information by then. If there's any money now, why not use it?
Well, we don't know, because there's bills that have been paid that weren't funded in other lines.
You
Yeah.
can't make that motion, Sandy,
Yeah.
without that wording, and it's gonna have to be, it's been
Hey.
doing
Okay,
it now.
so I'm
It
up-
has to come out of 23.
Sandy, just raise the debt limit, for God's sake.
I'm just going to make a motion that we authorize Mr. Campina to look into a contractor to pump 3 times a week at the broken gravity lines on Wonkinko,
Second.
only to look into it and report to us the cost. Because I'm not going to, because it could very well require
Okay,
estimates and whatever.
Don't mention money then.
No, no money. I'm just look into and report back to us as to what he finds.
That I second. Because as far as I'm concerned, you can spend all the money you want.
any other discussion?
Huh?
Any other discussion? Bob?
Nope.
Nope, there be none. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, it's unanimous, 400. Okay, item D, discussion info on sludge. Exciting topic. I emailed you some items that Guy had sent me on emails regarding that issue. It might have it. If Guy sends me something, as long as it's even a lousy joke, I will forward it to everyone.
I was just surprised. I've never seen those emails before. That's the first time I've seen anything on sludge issue.
You've never seen me in this chair before.
I was just wondering if it had always gone to a member of a commissioner that just wasn't forwarded to us, or that he never got him to forward it to us.
I was talking with Jimmy today, and he never attended a sludge meeting. In
Okay.
his recollection,
I've only had one. You've been to the only one. We had this contract 3 years ago, so what's become critical in the last year is there's no place to go. That's what the criticality is. And I've mentioned it in many meetings that we're having problems with sludge. It just wasn't, you probably didn't send you an email, but I've kept the board up to date on the problem we're having getting rid of sludge, and it's peaking. So Synagro came down, I think sometime this week, I forget the day, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it was, and I asked Bernie to be there because they're talking about renewal of contract, and they're also talking about not guaranteeing the ability to get rid of it. So we have to have a contract, and there's no guarantees. And there's some other things that they can do. That has to be total board participation. So that's why I had the chairman there. And when we get the information, the chairman will get the information, then he'll present it to the board, and we'll go from there. But it's critical. Times are critical, and sludge is very difficult to get hold of. They showed us the map. We have an option to go to Schenectady, New York, and maybe upstate, upper part of Maine. It's the only 2 options we have now. And so it's going to be expensive. It's going to be 30 to 40% increase from what we're doing now. And it is what it is. So, yeah, I've been talking about it for quite some time.
and I never realized it was such a stimulating subject, in which case I am thinking of appointing one of you as the sludge master, as the Board of Commissioners. Just kidding, Peter, just kidding. It is unfortunately, as the meeting went on, it was extremely disappointing that the more regulations that they impose on the industry, the fewer people that go into the industry, because there's no profit in it anymore. And the difficulty of, they may do their thing, but their ability to dispose of what they're doing is being more limited, almost to the extent of extinction. And so you just don't know what you're gonna do with it, and guy sits over there with goons and tanks full of it. And they have to wait for, maybe they'll take a tank this week, maybe next week they'll take 2 trailers.
And
Yes,
And, Mr. Chairman, I do want to bring up, we have full tanks, and remember, they expand, and we have basins full, so it could be an odorous summer. Just be prepared. I'm hoping to get it emptied. If trucks start rolling, there's a potential, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Inside these tanks, things heat. They heat, they expand. They expand, they smell. Same thing. We have 3 basins that are 3/4 full, and we got one that's probably half full, a little less. I will not get these emptied anytime soon. It may be throughout the summer. So I'm preparing for the worst. I've actually commissioned a gentleman to put our misting system back online because I'm going to need all the help I can get to address odors. And we'll do whatever we can. But yes, it's going to be a tough summer for us.
And this sludge you're referring to that are in the lagoons and all, that's after the processing, that's not waiting to be processed.
That's correct.
So it's just taking up room for you right now.
It is, and the only dilemma is that as long as it sits there, it's activated sludge, which is bacteria. So while it sits there, it goes septic, and that's when you get the odors, right? So it gets septic, because we can't add air to it. And then the other part of that is I got to bring it back into the plant toxic, and it becomes toxic to the process. So we have to bring it in slowly. I can't rush it in. I got to bring it very slowly so the bacteria in the process can absorb it. If I bring it in too fast, I'll kill what we're doing, and then we're really in trouble. So it creates a few problems for us by not being able to get rid of sludge. But it's not just us, it's everybody. As she had said yesterday, she got plants that are New Bedford, she named a bunch that are critical, and we're all in the same boat. And we didn't yell at her, and she was really happy with that, because most other places she went, we were yelling and screaming at her, but we didn't choose to go that route. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, next one is the outstanding capital items. I have the update on FY '23 outstanding as of July 1, 2023. I'll copy it and send it out to everyone. It's the chart that John Foster develops every year for budget period, and I found it in my notes from my finance committee, and it covers everything that's outstanding. Some haven't actually hit the rolls for payment, like the Swift, replacing the Swift Beach sewer lines to Ruggles. That was $3 million. Engineering for the clarifier, engineering for headworks, engineering for Swift's Beach, Smith Street lanes, line force for Narrows, the boiler, the boiler, roof replacement, and another one for 1.5. My point in trying to get a handle on those things is those are already approved, so they're a cost. Now, as we go forward with the other things that are necessarily, or that needed, we're going to land more borrowing on top of those, and hopefully we can move it forward so that the rates won't necessarily have to go up extraordinarily, but we can keep pace with it while not overburdening, trying not to overburden the users, but it still accomplish the critical needs.
Well, I was sort of looking, in special spring 2020, we approved $150,000 for the Heinz Field Force Main testing. Done or not?
No,
Since 2020.
that's correct.
2020, $250,000 for a clarifiers update.
We did an update, and we need to replace them.
Has the $250,000 been used from FY '20?
No, I would say this to you. I sat with Derek and John and went over the same list, and they consolidated some things. You may get better results by talking to them, but I'll answer your questions.
The rehab of wet well Narrows for $150,000.
No,
2020 grants Narrows and Line Basin for $400,000.
no, we did not get the grants.
So that should be removed from the list?
I think they did. No, your list, yes, your list.
4.5 million for odor control.
It was $4,500, so no.
2 million for the D-night filter from FY '20.
Okay, is it 2 million? I got 2,000, but yeah. D-night filters are done.
Special spring '21, 2 generators for $500,000.
They're done. They were just done.
FY '22, I think that's too soon to ask what's going on. Now, part of your capital plan is you have at least 7 items that are ongoing, and I haven't seen them being included in your request for capital.
I don't know.
Generators, rehab pump stations, aeration tanks, replace clarifiers, kettle station pump replacements, infrastructure pipe replacement, manhole repairs. Are any of that ever done every year, or?
No, kettle stations are 1972, we need to replace them. And so we're going to do $200,000 a year, which we did not do. We haven't done any of them. We still have 5 that need to be replaced.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those
we
items
haven't.
go on any warrant articles under
No, we
capital.
didn't do them. Replace clarifiers, you're just going to see now, we haven't done that. Infrastructure pipe replacement is lining of pipes, we haven't done any lining since we did Swiss Beach. Repair manholes, we have not started repairing manholes, we will once the state highway's done, and now that the upper part of 6 by Marion Road, we'll start doing those manholes. Engineering, headworks, clarify Smiths, we're in the process of that now. Groundwater discharge evaluation, they're still doing it.
Well, I don't know how they can do it since it hasn't been funded.
The 115,
The 115,000 has not been funded.
oh, they have a contract, so if we didn't fund it, we got a contract. Contract's been approved by the board, passed on, and yeah, it's being done, so
Capital, it should have been approved at town meeting.
I'm not so sure how that works, but anyways, it's an engineering project.
Okay. I think we really have to take a hard look at the capital plan. Because we really can't spend anything for capital unless the town meeting votes on it. So I was surprised to find the groundwater discharge evaluation happening.
They used to be in the budget, the capital item of the budget, which is no longer there, a lot of these projects, and we'd say what we're going to do, and then in the capital portion of the
Yep.
budget, and we went ahead and did them, and they were at the town meeting approval because they approved the budget. But I think now you're doing something, whatever, I have no problem with however you want to do that. But the items you're talking about, the 115, that was approved in our budget at town meeting, submitted under our capital, and we submit the
Now-
capital we're doing. That was back in the
I
day.
think this was explained quite a few years ago, even though it's on your capital line, capital projects have to be approved by town meeting, even if they're in a capital line budget.
Yeah,
We've
been
done
doing
that, we've had that discussion quite a few years ago, so,
And we haven't done capital since quite a few, it's been 3 years, we haven't done capital on our budget.
yeah, capital budget seems to be made up of interest and principal and nothing else.
Yeah, so we haven't done anything
Sorry.
I'll get a printout from Judy.
since that was bought out.
Julie was on.
Yeah, my concern is that some of these projects, money have been set aside to do them, and maybe they're done and their balance could be closed out and assisted that way.
Mr. Chairman, Derek and John has done that. I sat with Derek and John on all this, the capital list, everything, and they closed a bunch of things out. And
Okay.
I would think you sit and talk with them, they give you exactly what they closed out, because they put the money back into retained earnings, because they were designated. Once they cancel these things, put it back into town, into retained earnings. I had no part of that, but I just was part of the discussion.
Just saying, from
And
Judy's
maybe-
point of view, I get the printout.
Yeah,
And I know where
maybe
the funds
look it up.
have
Yeah,
gone.
absolutely,
And that's where
absolutely.
it's just
Okay.
looking on
They
paper.
can probably give you a better explanation of
And if
what
that's,
actually was
it's
moved.
unfortunate the capital planning has not been notified of that. Okay, that's another issue for another committee.
The 4G, the discussion of the contract.
You
with-
missed one. GHD at our last meeting said that they will update. This is a 2015 capital improvement plan, and GHD said they would update that for us. This
Yes,
is off
they
the
are.
website, so,
They're working on it.
I've seen it, there are notes, and I've also seen Guy's notes.
We're working
There's
on it.
2 sections that they're updating. Guy's updating the one on regarding 45 pump stations, and GHD is updating the one regarding the 215 original projection of what needed to be done. They're updating that. I've talked with them. I've seen the notes that they've made in the process of updating. So it is ongoing.
they give you a time frame.
Next meeting. I spoke with them 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Today's Thursday. Spoke with them Tuesday. The contract with Bourne, I have an original. Guy is speculating they've never signed it, et cetera, et cetera. But my concern really is that the percentage, let's say of the 36 mil, that we're looking for get appropriating, we're going to borrow it on our books. But according to the contract, Bourne will subsidize a certain percentage, I think around 16% of it in the contract language. So that we have, if it's zero-based And I think there is a function, if I remember the presentation, of a forgiveness. We will experience, one, a reduction of the actual cost we're paying in based on the percentage, and the final cost will be a lot less than 36 mil for us. But I would suggest that it may still be up around 30 when we're all done. Because we really don't know the actual cost of it under circumstances.
Bourne has requested a heads up when we are going to do capital improvements. Do you know if anybody's told them about this possible 36
I am just coming
million?
up to speed on all of this stuff.
Okay, just
so-
that
but I
they've
agree
been
with
very
you.
critical that we've not been sharing with them our capital plan for the sewer, and they're being, what are you talking about? Never heard of that. So,
I certainly agree, if nothing less than a courtesy.
yes. Yep, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I meet with the engineer quarterly, and I brought it to his attention to bring to the new town administrator. I've got no feedback, but we meet quarterly, and I tell him everything that we're planning on doing. I give him a projection a few years out, so he's well aware of what we're going to do. When we start doing it, we should get them involved, at least send them a
Well,
courtesy letter, but they're
I'll get
aware
in
of what
touch
we're going
with
to do.
the chairman of the sewer
Yes,
commission over there
because-
directly.
Which is the
I passed
Board
it
of
on.
Selectmen.
Are they really?
The select board from Bourne are the sewer commissioners.
Yeah, they have a different
Correct.
chairman for one, different chairman for the other, so it's two separate
I'm
boards.
going to take
but
that away from you.
May I have some silence in the audience, please?
It's the same board, but two separate boards, if that makes sense. It's kind of weird.
Did you get him a new phone, Sandy?
It's kind of weird, but yeah, good.
So,
Yes.
back to this $36 million. Who's paying it back?
Combination of ourselves, Bourne,
Who's ourselves?
town of Wareham. The ratepayers,
Which?
all of them, 6,000 of them.
Which? The
Actually,
ratepayers,
I was
the ratepayers
reading-
or the town?
I was, beg pardon?
The ratepayers or the town?
Ratepayers. As I understand the betterment law, it's the ratepayers, the ones who benefit directly, that'll pay for it. I was reading it this afternoon.
We can't afford it. It's as simple as that. Without the town's help, we can't afford it.
It's the way it's structured. I'll reread again to make sure I interpreted it properly. It seems, when I was on the Finance Committee, we had a lot of discussion regarding some of these issues, that the entire town benefits from running a sewer plant. But the cost is the burden of the ratepayers, the users, the direct users, not the indirect
When-
beneficiaries.
When did we have the whole town assist with wasn't when we rebuilt the sewer plant? Everybody was charged, not just users?
I don't know. I thought the government built it.
I thought it had been charged to everybody in town.
I thought the government built it, and they were the ones that mandated the enterprise fund.
Okay,
But calculate out what the $36 million is going to cost the 9,000 EDUs. We can't afford it. We've got to come up with some way to get the town to help. I don't care if we get debt forgiveness and the lowest interest rate possible. You're still talking about paying off like $2 million a year.
Over 20 years
Two-
plus interest, yes. Yeah.
For 9,000 people paying an extra $2 million a year? What's that come out to?
9,000 EDUs, not people.
We had
9,000 EDUs,
Yes.
okay, but
We had 6,000 users.
Yes, the big question is
And
how
it
we're
would be
going to
different
fund
if we went from EDUs to usage. That would change the dynamic a great deal also.
I guess that leads us into H.
That's the problem. I don't know how they managed to do such a complete upgrade of the system back in 2005.
I believe it was charged to everybody.
Beg pardon?
I believe it was charged to every taxpayer in the town of Wareham, not just sewer user.
No, that's a possibility. As I said, I read the betterment, but the betterment, there's two of them. There's a betterment and there's another
I
phraseology
can't see why.
they use in.
What would logic would they use to do that?
In order to go for all the.
I mean, to build a sewer plant that didn't include you, why should I pay for it?
It benefits the whole town.
Not benefiting me, I still have to get my tank pumped. I mean, I don't see how the logic they could have used to get that through.
I'll have to go back into the history and find out how they did it then and ask around, of course. I can call DOR and they can give some guidance because they wrote the books on it.
But if in fact that's the way it worked, then that's the way you should also get the improvements on. The entire town kicks in.
Possibly. I say possibly only for the point of discussion.
Well, it's not a case of further discussion. If you want to approve this town, us going to town meeting looking for $36 million, and as I said the last meeting, I wanted to know who was paying for it, and now you telling me that it's just the ratepayers, then I can't support that.
I can't give you an explanation because I'm just getting myself involved in in that function of it as far as the finances are concerned. Considering the amount of costs, yes, it would be a horrendous increase for the ratepayers. As far as the town doing it, it would have to be a 2.5 override.
Good luck.
And the way if we change the rate structure, it could be even worse, because we're only speculating about how much more going to usage would fund us, how much more revenue that we'd gain. Okay, and let's see. In H, we'll do that, that's the rate structure. We don't need to do that, I guess. We can go over that. The next one, the applicants for connection to the sense moratorium. You all have a copy of that list.
What was the discussion with the bond contract? So what's what's,
By contract, its language is 16%. They pay of any capital improvements.
right? So you're gonna go tell Bourne that they have to kick in 16%?
That's under their contract.
No.
They're obligated to do so.
Now, do we care where Bourne gets that 16%, whether they get it from their ratepayers or the whole town?
That's their problem. They're under a contract with us to provide for.
Who's the contract with, the town or with the
Town.
sewer department?
They make it with the town, but the sewer department here. If we, as commissioners, are preparing an upgrade, and we determine clarifiers and the headworks are necessarily, need to be replaced, and it's X number of millions of dollars, we bill them through their usage. They're 16% of that cost.
Lean forward.
Does Bourne get any input into the overall
No.
improvements? No?
They don't have a vote, they don't have a position on this board. Contract was written 5, 6 years ago?
Well, longer than that, it was before I got here.
1989, 10 years later, and 10 years later, they did an upgrade, and that's the last I know of.
And it's written specifically in the contract, when this board determines that there is improvements to be needed or necessary, they are billed for them. They don't have an input. And the language is not ambiguous either. If you like, I can forward you a copy of that. I'll email you a copy. Okay, moving on, the list of people who we are committed already. This was even before the moratorium. And the number of gallons each. My thoughts on that, if there's projects that have been ongoing for a period of time and they're stalled, or they're not going to be finished, we've committed a certain amount of gallons to them, and yet they're never going to use it. So we should go back and see if we can develop some kind of usage and recover those extra gallons that they have. Let's say you got a 20-house development going up, and you only built 10. In their permitting process, they've come before us, and we've allocated them a certain number of gallons for that project. Well, they've only built half of it, but on the books, we're still committed to the entire project.
So you say you want to rewrite the IMA?
I want to see if we can recover them.
Are you saying you want to rewrite the IMA?
What does the acronym stand for, Jim, Peter?
Excuse me?
What does the IMA stand for, you're calling it?
The intermunicipal agreement?
If they sign the municipal, if the original was that agreement, yes.
We don't negotiate that. That's the selectmen. We didn't get involved in the,
So the selectmen determine the amount of gallons that we commit to them? That's through a permitting process, isn't it, with the planning board?
the selectmen set up the IMA. The sewer commissioners were the selectmen at the time.
There must be some way we can recover that excess.
Good luck. It calls for rewriting the IMA, and I am totally for that. And I think we should have some say in how it's done. But we haven't.
Then we should look into it very definitely, because there's product out there, I call it product, gallons out there, that are completely
I mean-
unused and will never be used. So we said the plant's sitting there.
Well, that's only one of the items, but there's the amount that they send down the sewer lines has always been a question too, and they've never agreed on that.
We have to make progress. This system, as it sits, cannot be expanded. It can't do any more than it was built to do, and yet we have more commitment or requests out there for more than the product, than the plant can process. And I'm saying is there's gallons there the plant will never process because they're not committed.
Oh,
Out there.
I have no disagreement whatsoever with you there, none whatsoever. It's how you're going to deal with more.
We'll have to talk. Must be some way.
See, when the selectmen gave up being sewer commissioners, they also kept all of the power. We are nothing. We're a toothless tiger. We have nothing to say about the hiring or firing. All we get to do is raise the rates and take the blame.
Well, at least we have to enter into a conversation, Peter. And I know your frustration. I've seen it when I've sat on the finance committee, how, you shouldn't be doing it this way. Well, that's the way we have to do it. Or that's the way we do it. They're in charge of it.
It's not the way it has to be, it's the way it is.
Well, I agree. But I don't agree that it can't be changed.
All right, I'm all for that.
I'll meet you at the stone wall. I'll meet you at the stone wall.
That's 48 Marion Road?
Moratorium. I'm trying to find some specifics in which you used to call a moratorium, because they would be the specifics that you would lift the moratorium. If you had X number of gallons that weren't available and they become available, you have to state why and, of course, develop the consistency that they're available. And I think that criteria we should go revisit in the context of putting it on paper, so we have a definite list that we have to meet, criteria to lift the moratorium. And on K, let's see, we have a request for a sewer commission. I'll put it in the list from
Well,
The
I'm sorry, Mr.
Stevens
Chair,
Butte-
I'd like to go back.
Yes.
Mr. Campeter, do we have a list of ones have been considered and put on a waiting list?
We have no more list. No, we don't have a list.
On September 22, we discussed two properties, Damien's Pantry and the car wash on Cranberry Highway.
They're on that list, you should be looking, they should be there. I don't see Damien's.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because I thought
We committed 250 gallons to Damien's per day.
242,
Yeah, whatever it was.
oh, sorry, 500 500 to Damien's Pantry.
I believe
I'm
it,
trying to find out when we did that.
yeah, I remember, I thought we did 250, but if it's 5, I don't
It
challenge
was
that.
500 for Damien's and 2,640 for the new car wash.
Yeah, I'm not sure, okay. Bill's letter was 250, but he may have updated it. Okay.
So I'm surprised they're not on your list, because I
Popeyes is
thought they had been
Lot
approved.
2, Popeyes is on the list, but Damien's is not, so I'll get Damien's on it.
But I don't remember,
And then the car wash, right? The car wash is, what's it called?
I don't know, it's at
Oh, let me see.
2416 Cranberry Highway.
Four Toe Road is the car wash.
Okay,
That's Four Toe Road, but you're right.
it's not on the list.
Four Toe Road?
Am I missing it?
I think it's the fourth down says Four Toe Road.
For Town Road?
Toe Road.
POW.
Oh, it's town. Yeah, call it Toe, that's Toe
But
Road.
we are, why 6,600? We have 2,640.
I think this is what was requested per, I think it was the original letter from GAF. And I think we approved 2,600. I'll have to correct that, but this was let me make the
Because if
correction
we
now. Toll
grant, you're
Road.
telling we granted 6,000, my note says 2,640, I'm confused.
I think 660 was for the entire project, and the board decided to do it in 3 phases. So I'll verify that. Because there was the original, which was the gas station, then there was Popeyes, and then there was Toll Road, which would have been the, so I think we approved all of it, and then we broke it down one project at a time, if I remember correctly. I think Malcolm made the motion that we do them one at a time. So the 66 is the total project.
So, I'm confused, comments. If I say that there's a First Hartford Realty corporate car wash for 5,600 on Cranberry Highway, and you say active,
If you go by there, you'll see them building it.
yeah, but that's not active.
Well, here's
To be
the,
active means they're pumping.
no, that means they're online.
No, they're
That
on.
would say online. Active means they're actively doing, what the purpose of the list was is the projects that were not active, that the board would have the right to rescind those gallons.
So it's work in progress
That's
as
right.
opposed to being
It's an
active.
active permit. They're working, you can, if you want to call it work in progress, we'll call it work in progress. What we called it was active. It's actively being worked on, so therefore, there's no need to bring it to the board to discuss if we revoke their gallons or not. It's actively being done. When it gets completed, we'll put online, and that means that now we're seeing the first gallon of sewer. If you want other, just let me know, we'll just change it. It's not, that's easy, that's easy.
Anything else missing, Sandy?
Oh, well,
It's like pending, assets living is pending. We've given the gallons 7 years ago, and they keep saying they're doing something, but it's not,
I
so.
go back to this is this Town Road or Tow
Tow
Road?
Road, TOW,
Okay,
yes, that's
But further
misspelled.
down, you've got Lot 2 for Popeyes as 8,800. If that's 8,800 part of the 6,600 for Tow Road,
Mm-hmm.
then why is Popeyes being separated out if it's included in the
You're right, I said that 66 was total, was a misprint. The 880, 26, and I forget what the gas station was, which would have come to a total of 66. Originally, we asked for the total gallons, and the board says, no, we'll do them one at a time. So that's our error for not changing the 66 originally to break it up. So we'll change that so it'll reflect the numbers, so you'll be able to understand it.
I have a tough time reading the purple.
Yeah.
Robinwood Road off Onset Ave for, okay, that's the one,
That's the Haven, I think, that's the old seminary, I think is what it
yep,
is.
okay.
So that's pending.
Not off Onset Ave, but it's on Robinwood Road.
Yeah, it's called Robinwood Road.
What's the TGCI?
That's that one that goes back and forth between rentals and buying, on, it's on Head of the Bay Road.
Head of the Bay Road.
Yeah, that's the one that's beyond Woodland Cove on the right, and I think it keeps going back and forth. One time they're gonna rent them, then they're gonna sell them, and I'm not so sure, but it's in zoning and all that stuff. So they're not actually doing anything, but it's pending, and they'll probably come out soon, and once they get a disposition, so what they're gonna do, they start building, then we'll call it active. But right now, there's no building going on.
Okay.
I can, if you're easy enough to do, add another column as the date they came on, the start date. Because as you said, they're in construction, but that's, the start date would be the date that the commission made the commitment.
Right.
So
and
we
I'll-
want the date of approval?
The date that they go online, start date,
No, date of approval.
approval of what, from you guys?
We
Okay.
approve them.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd have to go look at that, okay.
that would let
I'd
us
have to
know
go
that
to
it's been
minutes.
going on ad infinitum.
Yeah, well, I'll have her look through minutes, because I don't have any idea, I don't remember the dates. I'll have to go back. Some of these, like I say, assisted living was 10 years ago, maybe longer. So we'd have to do some digging.
I received a letter from Stephen Bushman,
Bushman?
that's easy to pronounce for that spelling, and they're requesting to be put in the queue for a sewer connection authorization. They are building at 20 Depot, identified in the lot they give that. I think everybody have a copy of this? There's already a sewer connection on file. The pre-planned project, if it's new construction, then the old permit perhaps does not apply. 4 units, total of 11 bedrooms, be filled as comprehensive 40B, estimated flow of 1210 gallons per day, 1,210 gallons per day, using Title V design flows. Do we have a list of the applicants, of any that have requested sewer connection after?
It's the only one. And for clarity, Mr. Chairman, 20 Depot Street already has a couple buildings, I think they're veterans, and he's just looking to expand it. So
Adding new buildings.
adding new buildings to that lot. He also, when he did the sewer originally, he left stubs to continue on someday. And so he'd like to continue on, and I said to him, he'd have to send a letter in because we have a moratorium. So he wants to get in some type of queue, so if it ever becomes available, he wants to be in some type of list so that he can, be considered when the time comes.
There's unused stubs there. Would that constitute a prior to permission, prior
No.
to the moratorium?
It would if the stub was in the street, but he used the stub there used to be a house there. He tore the house down, used that stub to build this, I think there's 2 buildings there now, probably 2 apartments.
3 apartments.
3 apartments, one's over the garage or something, I'm not so sure. He did that. So when he did that, he left, at the end of the one by the garage, he left a stub to continue on with his project someday. That's just planning for the future, and he's digging. So now he wants to move forward. We have no gallons for him. So he said, okay, that's fine, but can I get on some sort of a list? And just so when it becomes available, whenever, then I can be considered. So he knows that he's not going to do this anytime soon. He knows that we don't have gallons, but he wants the board to consider him if and when it becomes available. I think that's what his intentions are.
Have we accumulated any applications?
No, this is the first that I've accumulated.
Okay,
Where is this guy?
On Depot Street,
Yeah.
And Tyler.
the corner of Depot Street and Tyler, across from the old East Wareham School.
There was a single house.
Okay, yeah.
There's 2 of them, 2 blue buildings.
Yeah.
So that's 20 Depot Street. They used to be set back, there used to be a single-family home.
Okay,
And so he knocked that down,
so I'm back there, okay.
yeah. And
So-
so he's going to probably build back there again, I think.
Going to do is to put an apartment attached to the garage, and then he's going to do 2 other buildings that will stand alone, one of them being at least a 3-bedroom. So he's looking at 3 buildings with 11 units, I believe.
So he's,
A lot.
so he's already coming to, he must be talking to the town about it.
He's come to Affordable Housing Trust
Yeah,
for,
okay.
that's why I'm aware of the
Yeah,
project.
So I got the letter, and I told him I would definitely make sure the commissioners got it. That's the only knowledge I have. But he did say he wants to expand. I don't have any details, But whatever he wants to do with the gallons, there's no gallons available at this time. So he's asking it on a list, if there is a list. So I said, that's up to the commissioners.
If there should be any more applications, I would suggest just make a folder for future applications and put a date on each application, just slip it in there. And whenever the gallons start becoming available, we'll pull it out, put them in date order, and see if we can prioritize. Good to have a need.
However you want to do it, Mr.
To make
Chairman.
any response, just keep
Yep,
track of them.
however you want
Going
to do
to-
it.
I've been looking back to when we approved some of these projects, and I can say on 3/25/21, we approved Robinwood Road for 4,800 gallons, not 3,000.
Well, they asked for 3,000, so I don't
We
know.
approved 4,800
Okay.
on 3/25/21, so I have a feeling this whole list needs a review, a strong review.
Yeah, I think, to your point, I think they apply for something, and then they refine it, because when they apply, they have an idea.
Oh, yeah.
So they come forward and say, oh, we're going to do 48, and then they do it, and it's always
But they
33,000,
didn't
so I
come
don't
to
know.
us for a modification.
It's in the plans that they send to us, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I'll tell them to, yeah, however you want to handle it.
So
It's
all the-
less than what they asked for, so I didn't think it was critical, but we can do that.
Under the circumstances, it has moved up to that
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
because of the moratorium.
Yes, when we approve 48 and they come in for 3, to me, we gained 1,800, so I just put it on there, but yeah, no problem. Next time, I'll tell them to come from the board and request to change their gallons.
Yeah, because that's one of the criteria in establishing the moratorium, that we have these commitments to what is it.
But, and again, my misunderstanding was they're not adding greater, they were taking less, so I thought that we'd be happy with less, but I'll have them come from the board to get permission to go less.
We'll find another leak to take
Yes, no problem, I got it, I got it.
Okay, the next one, contracts. First one is for the contract for Holland Company. This is for a second additional year. As communicated in your agreement to this extension, as noted, the original contract, the pricing will remain at $3.05 per gallon. This contract shall be executed from 7/1/23 through 6/30/23. Any discussion?
Did you get paperwork to sign? Did you bring paperwork for signatures?
I don't know, I hope so.
You're taking that out of your packet?
I have copies.
Oh, okay, because normally I get a blue folder with everything in it.
I had you sign copy.
Yes, I think I saw Hall in there, so they're probably all in there.
I'll
Want
give
me to
mine.
use yours?
Sure. If it's comfortable for you. You on the contract?
Are you comfortable with the contract?
Yes, it's a renewal of the existing one. There's no fault with the existing.
Make a motion that we accept the contract as written.
You have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Questions? There being none, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. You have to sign it.
No,
You want all
I
the
just don't want all papers, never mind.
Okay,
I
how
was
do you
just,
wanna-
I was going to control them and put them all out at once.
Okay. Is that good for you?
Yeah,
Whatever you want to do,
I-
Sandy, you're
I will
doing it,
give
so I
you
want you to
this-
keep it organized.
Yes. I just have the cover contract policies as opposed to the full thing.
Okay, so I'll
just
just sign
the-
that? You wanted everyone to sign that? Okay.
Next one.
Next one is Thomas Reimers. The above conditions are satisfactory and hereby accepted. You are authorized to work as specified. Payment will be made per certificate of the payments. And The agreement was made on April 22 between the town of Wareham acting by and through its duly elected Board of Sewer Commissioners. It's a renewal of an existing, is that my interpretation correct?
That is correct.
What do they do for us?
Tom is a Saturday grade 5 operator. We have no operators. So Tom is a grade 5 operator, so we can legally run the plant on Saturday.
So it comes out of our contract line on our budget?
Yes, that contract is that it's over budget. Yes, that line there's what comes out of.
So he comes in for anything you need?
Comes in just for Saturday, because we need an operator by law to be at the facility. So on Saturday, he's the operator in charge. So he comes in, he does the labs, he gets the guys going, he oversees the plant. He's the operator, grade 5 operator in charge of that shift,
Just
which is
Saturday?
mandated. Yes, just Saturday, because that's the only day we needed it for. We also have one coming up that does Sunday. We have no operators for Saturday or Sunday, so,
Is
because
it me?
Okay,
He
so
says,
he's strictly at the plant.
that's it, strictly at the plant.
I was-
Can't leave the plant.
I'm just going to send him down to
I know
Waukego.
that. I try to ignore you because I knew where you were going, but he cannot leave the plant. That's what he does. He's just the
Is-
He
plant.
wears flip-flops.
His letter to you says weekend.
Well,
Am I misunderstanding his letter to you?
it was weekend. When we first did the contract, there's two of them. They were going to rotate, but now one does Saturday, one does Sunday. So if Tom wants to do a Sunday and Scott has to do a Saturday, if they want to change, I don't want to hinder that. But yes, he's primarily, and all he's been working since we hired him.
One day a weekend.
One day a weekend. So he's been working, this particular gentleman's been working Saturdays. And if the other guy calls out, then I'll have him work 2 days if I have to, because I need an operator for Sunday too. Although I have a new lab tech, and we're going to phase the other guy out, but we have a lab tech, but he's new, and he cannot run the plant, so. But he's getting there, he's real good. Anyways, that's what that contract is. And Mr. Chairman, before I go, I may be a little distracted. My son was in an accident. The driver was med-flight out. He's a truck driver, and he's at Brockton Hospital. He says my daughter's going to go pick him up. He seems to be okay, so I'm going to follow it. So I may be slightly distracted, so I just want you to be aware of that.
Do you want to leave? Do you want to go?
I want to get through this, and then I'll leave, but I want to get through this because you may have questions. So
Okay.
I'm here. This is my obligation. We'll get this done.
Next contract is Scott Crelanzo.
Yes, Scott Carhanzel, you probably say it better than I
Got
could.
that close to
Does-
thought.
When he's on site, do we cover him for insurance and workman's comp or anything
No,
like that?
it's all on
He brings
him.
all his own insurance
We're not
at
responsible for it.
$50 an hour?
Yes, he covers that's his. He takes his own insurance, he's responsible for his own, yes, he's an independent contractor. He's not an employee of ours, he's an independent contractor.
Okay, on the contract with Scott. I'm sorry, Peter, you want to say something?
No, just at $50 an hour. It's awful nice pay.
Well, it includes, he pays Fed FICA.
Well, since we only paid the other guys like 26,
25,
Deal
yeah,
with the
less than
storage.
26, yeah.
Ah, no,
Which
but
is-
in that 20, after the 26, you cover retirement, benefits and all, and with
Yeah,
his,
right,
within the $50, he covers all of that.
this is a good deal. Not just for us, for him.
Oh, indeed.
I mean, with this kind of money, we could pump on Kiko. Dead serious. If you sent 2 men down there, it would only cost you 8 hours, $400.
And it would be half because we already pay him benefits.
And it's our equipment.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
I make a motion, we accept the contract with Thomas Reyna as printed.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those have a roll call, please. Peter,
Well, we can
Yes.
just say aye. You want a roll call, or just say,
you want to, we can do that. I just thought because it's a contract, do more formal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote, 400.
did we do this for Reamers too?
Yes.
Or did I miss it?
Nope, you got that,
Who made
400.
the motion for Reamers? And who seconded?
I think it was Peter and Bob.
Yeah.
I know they did Holland.
The next one is for Scott Kranzel.
We just did that.
Is that the one we just did?
Yes.
Oh,
You were so pleased with your pronunciation.
thank you. Next contract is for DR Warren Enterprises, Limited Partnership.
What are you using the trailer for now, Guy?
Offices, what it was, the middle was for the sewer commissioners. One end was for the manager of maintenance, and the other end was for the manager of pretreatment. So we have one end for the manager of maintenance, pretreatment we do not have, and while the contractors were there, we let them use the trailer because it was our obligation, they would have charged us. So we said, just use this trailer because it's a building they can do their work in and save the money that they would have had to pay for them to rent a trailer. So that's what we're using that trailer for.
What's this cost us?
$600, $400, $600?
A month?
Yes.
Doesn't say that.
Look, I thought it was $600, but I could be wrong. Why wouldn't it be in here?
No, I was looking for that. Nope, there's no state as the monthly rental.
$600 a month.
600?
I make a recommendation, we do not sign until we see the cost.
Surprised it wasn't.
Do I have a second?
No, I agree.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to put it on hold. A revised application with the, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Absolutely.
400. And the last one is Alpha Analytical.
That is our lab for all our NEPTES work. They do, for the requirement by the government, those are our labs.
I entertain a motion to approve.
I was just looking for cost.
Well, it's a bunch of costs. It gives you the itemized cost, but it'll be easier. It's a bunch of costs.
So we don't know what we were approving,
Well, yeah,
dollar amount?
I'm going to tell you, in the budget for this particular lab, NEPTES, we are allocated $31,000.
$31,000?
For the year, yes, for the year.
And so the contract includes the cost per each testing,
Yes, they gave us all the costs of all the testing, of, the itemized listing.
but no total.
No, we budgeted 31,000. We based it on what we thought last year's total and this year's total, but yeah, 31,000. Maybe a little less, it's not to exceed. Well, I shouldn't say that. Prices go up tomorrow, I can't say that.
You want to put that not to exceed?
Not to exceed. I entertain a motion with the words not to exceed.
To hold it until it's,
You want to hold it?
well, it's not in the contract.
Okay. It's fine.
I make a motion we hold.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Vote 400.
All right, so
The next item is abatements.
Exceed 31,000 appropriated.
we've approved 3 contracts, and I'll send them around for signatures.
49, sir.
First request for abatement, 49 Circuit Ave.
I make a motion, we deny it based on policy.
And the policy you're stating, please?
I will try a motion to deny it.
Peter had a motion.
Okay,
You made a motion,
Are we talking about
It's based on water use. and-
Circuit Ave, 49 Circuit Ave?
yes.
Yeah, I make a motion, we deny it on policy. If your water's on, you pay.
Okay.
Yep.
Have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The vote 400. Next request is 426 Main.
The property had a fire, and water and sewer were disconnected. So we'd like to abate $123.84 because it happened in November. And that would cover December and January. And we'll put the account on hold, so we won't bill them the next billing cycle until it's rebuilt or whatever they decide
I
to do with
make a
that property.
motion, we approve the abatement of $123.84 for 426 Main Street on the recommendation of Mr. Campina.
I
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 400. And for some reason I don't have a copy.
I don't have a copy of 38 White Tunis also.
Pardon?
I was looking for my copy of 38 White Tunis. Is that what it was? And I can't find my copy.
It's not in the packet.
Yeah, I don't have
So it's
the
probably, she probably didn't put it in there.
Yeah, okay, we'll have to put that on hold,
Please,
move that to next week, next meeting.
please, thank you. Not in packet.
And now we have the superintendent's report.
Most of the stuff in my report we talked about, which is kind of good, but I do want to talk really briefly, Mr. Chairman, if you will, members of the board. Pilgrim Avenue, or Pilgrim Street maybe, I'm not even sure anymore, it's in Swiss Beach. At the intersection of, and I think it's Aldro, which is in Hamilton Beach.
Yep.
So from that back to Smith was blocked last week. And in that process, we flooded a house at 63 Pilgrim Avenue or Street. And it was caked for almost a quarter mile of grease and baby wipes. It took us quite a bit of time to get it out, and we had to climb in the manholes to pull out the grease, the chunks of grease and the baby wipes. After we kept jetting it back, it was a project to get it out and flowing again. We're going to have to remediate a electric water heater, electric dryer, electric washer, I think a dehumidifier, and they had 2 feet of sewer in the basement. They're going to clean it, and we'll have to pay that also. I don't have the amounts. Once they come to me, I'll take care of it. But what I want to emphasize, and I think we forget, that the only thing that we flush is toilet paper, preferably white. That's it. That's absolutely it. Nothing else goes in the toilet, nothing else. It's becoming problematic for us, for baby wipes and all type of non-flushables and grease. Grease is becoming a rampant problem throughout the community. We're getting more grease now through normal flow of septage than we've ever seen before. We used to allocate 10 to 12% of every drop of sewer that came in from residents. We used to say approximately 12%. We're seeing way up over that. We're seeing numbers that are staggering. We're seeing chunks of grease come in.
Any idea why?
I have some, well, there's a couple things that I'm aware of. People are doing a lot more in-home stuff. People are doing cooking and selling.
Yeah,
There's a lot more of that.
3 years of COVID.
But no, I think it's, people at COVID, they were still cooking. They were home more. But I think generally speaking, people are just not, we always said years ago, and you guys may have done it, you poured the grease in a can, whether you froze it for the birds or whatever. But that's, again, it's inconvenient. And we're a society that we don't do inconvenience. So we're just going to fly. What's the big deal? It goes down the sewer, goes down this big pipe, and everybody's happy. And baby wipes, it's easier to clean your baby than to do the old-fashioned way, right? It's easier.
Or tampons.
Or tampons, or anything, or, you know, adult wipes. It goes on and on and on. And we are a society of convenience. Don't inconvenience me at all. And so it's becoming problematic. And when we have these blockages, it becomes dangerous to that particular family in that house. Now, this is a summer home, and they hired somebody to come open it up and redo their sewer pipe. Out of this problem, if there's other summer homes, we won't find out till the summer comes, and then we'll have to deal with it then. All right, so I don't know how to explain it, what else to say, but the problem is severe. It's severe, and we need to address it. I'm asking every resident out there to just flush toilet paper, preferably white, and that's it. But if it doesn't come out of if it comes out of your body in white toilet paper, nothing else. And if you want to wipe your pans with paper towels before you put them in your dishwasher, whatever, that'd be greatly appreciated. Throw that away. It goes to the landfill. But we're getting hammered, and we're getting overwhelmed with baby wipes, and we're getting overwhelmed with grease and many other things. And it's becoming a problem, a major problem.
What is on the back of our bill that we send them, that we mail them?
It's there, but we'll probably have to do individual flyers. People say they tear the bill, throw it away, they don't read it. I read everything before I pay a bill, but some people just rip it off, pay it, and then they say, oh, I didn't have a chance to read it. I do things differently, but
See if you
yes,
can
we'll do a
extra one
flyer.
of different color.
Yeah, we should do a flyer. The problem is that we have a company that the town hires to do this. It's hard for me to get a separate one. We may have to do it separately than what the town's doing, and I'll figure that out. And it's a cost. It's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to
Well, I
put these
thought I
flyers
got a
out.
single page, separate page in a couple
We-
bills ago.
we did.
But
It
one of the
becomes-
problems is that when you rip up your page to pay, all that information on the back of that goes with your bill that you've paid.
Yes.
So you don't have it as a backup to look at your history, to look at the,
So we'll look at that. It's just that it was an extra $5,000 or $6,000. It's just money. So we'll
I mean,
do
you're
it.
spending that anyway.
yeah.
We're spending $5,000 a bill, then an extra $5,000 for another flyer, so that $5,000 becomes $10,000. But that's not, whatever it is.
Your 5,000 of the flyer, if you're going to reduce the grease.
If it
right down to-
reduces the grease, I call it,
Out
I
2,500.
agree, we'd call it a good investment. But we've done it in the past for many years, and the biggest thing I'm hearing is people don't read that. That's why we got to send them to their house or knock on their door. Because no matter what you put out there, nobody reads it, nobody knows about it, they're misinformed.
Well, you have
So
a-
we got to find a way to get it out there.
You have a method of, it's like when we do cold calling or call centers. You put out a commercial on TV. If within the next hour, your call center has a 10% increase in calls, you run that commercial again. And so if you run your flyer out and you get a reduction, you can understand it, that it was as a result of that flyer. So it becomes cost-effective to do so.
I hear-
You wait another year to do it. You can't do it every year.
I hear what you're saying, but to quantify it is not as easy as you're, like on a telephone, I can go, hey, I see that after the commercial, but I'll do that. We can certainly try anything. I'm willing to try anything because I have no staffs to begin with, and it's problematic. And so I've got to take we had to dedicate many hours there to break this blockage free, and nothing else could be done. We didn't do stations that day, or at least we got a few done, but not all of them. So what I'm asking for is the help of doing something that you shouldn't be doing anyways, period. I mean, you shouldn't, you just simply shouldn't be. And
So-
we shouldn't have to have these conversations.
So we're pretty much agreed that we've got to get the word out there. All right. Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
Take a picture of this person's basement and say, this is what your neighbors did.
Because the pictures are coming to me because there's going to be an insurance claim. So once I get the pictures, we'll definitely do whatever you want with them. I've got pictures of everything.
And this is what it ended up
this
costing.
is the end
And
result.
it's going to cost all of you because a few of you don't want to pay any attention. You just got to hit them in the pocketbook or it doesn't do any good.
And even,
You can send out all the notifications you want. It comes back to what you said one time, a bowling ball is flushable.
It is.
And
even the billboard out front, put a quick blurb on that, people see
Oh, with the
that.
pictures, you could use it even as a news item. So it's not negative in that context, but still, you're making them aware that such and such,
But-
on this street, we replaced the basement because of.
Yeah, that obviously happened in the Hamilton Beach. So if you just took the pictures and sent it just to the people in Hamilton Beach, I mean, maybe that's more work than it's necessary. But this is what your neighbors caused.
So it would be easy enough, to your point, to have I think every association has meetings. So maybe go to the association meeting in the summer, bring the pictures. The young lady will be there because she's she's paying for it. She's getting reimbursed, but it's inconvenience. But nonetheless, present it, this is what happened, and this is why it happened, and we're appealing for some help and some,
So it's the
so maybe
flow going from Smith's to,
it was going from Hamilton Beach to Smiths. Everything flows to Smiths.
I
in that
know,
area.
but it's, the blockage was after it left Smith's, coming
So-
up Pilgrim.
I can't tell you where it came from, because that's what, you're right, the blockage is there. But everything that side, which is all the houses on Pilgrim and all of Hamilton Beach, all could be contributors. I don't know which one.
So
I can't tell you.
it isn't Swiss Beach, it's the housing that goes into Smith's, a part of which is Swiss Beach.
That's right. In Hamilton Beach, I don't know if it's an island of its own, but I include that in Swiss Beach
Okay.
documentation,
Well,
so.
the way you presented it, the cause isn't specifically that individual. The cause was a conglomeration or a group of neighbors and the like, and this is the way it happened. So you don't want to pinpoint the individual per se.
No.
Other than say,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
fell suffer the consequences.
And there may be,
Group effort.
and there may be others.
Because remember, it's we derag pumps routinely, daily, in all our pump stations. So everybody's flushing them. It takes time. When a pump station takes in these rags or these non-flushables, it jams, the pump goes offline. So that wet well is filling. We get a call 2 o'clock in the morning, I have no pumps online, what do you think we have to do? We got to go out there and we got to derag it. The guys get in the middle of the night, get out of bed, go there, pull these pumps, pull out these rags, and then go home and go back to bed. You see, and it's all too common. And so it's a major issue, and becoming more and more. It's getting crazier. So I don't know what the answer is, other than people, please don't do it. In wastewater, in flushing your toilet, even if you have a septic system, nothing more than white toilet paper, because white toilet paper and toilet paper generally disperses. Nothing else does. It's all fibrous. And grease is a killer, and it grabs space. It's something as simple as floss. It's stringy. Get that around an impeller. Or it goes on and on and on and on, so we can't flush any of these things. We just
Well,
can't.
Also, please, no bamboo toilet paper.
I'm trying-
That's one of the big
absolutely.
things, is using bamboo. Well, guess what?
Isn't that scratchy?
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's the new
It does a job on the
rave.
down system.
Oh, you have to be one of those to use that level. Is that expensive stuff?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I've been
I'm
emailing
sorry.
back and forth.
I use
yes.
one ply.
That's what we do in campers. In the camper, they only tell you can only use one ply. So it can just, because you don't have time to do that. But anyways,
In the day, we used to use corn cobs at the outhouse. I remember
yeah,
that.
well,
Or
we
a
used
bucket
to,
of water and a rag.
we used to push them over. I remember pushing them over, for sure. I think in the winter, you'd put it, my grandparents would put it close to the home. In the summer, we took it out, we moved it out back. It's kind of interesting. And so sewer's come a long ways, but
We might have a resurgence, you never know.
never know. It's probably the better way to go. It's like I always thought about, as people, we take pristine water, make it filthy, and then spend money to clean it. That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
Can I ask a question?
Anyway, so that's,
I was looking at the bills paid. Why aren't we using our own water?
we do.
Then why do we have a huge water bills?
Because it plugs, and when it plugs, the filters plug because they're overwhelmed. What happens, we've got clarifiers that are too shallow. They're very shallow.
I know that,
So
but
when
I'm
it plugs the filters, the water stops.
I'm looking at water bills.
I'm explaining to you. We have a water system that relies on flow through the plant to go to the back end by the UV and then pour into this big tank, if you will, and then we use it. When flow stops, we don't have any more water. We use it up, we got nothing. So when we have no water, we
have
use
to
town
use the
water.
town water.
Yes,
So we do use what we produce.
that's right, absolutely.
When we run out of it, we have to rely
We have
on
to. And it's getting out of sight.
thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. It's out of sight. I tried to sink a well, to your point, and we've had a well driller come in, and he's tried 4 times down to 75 feet, and we can't get 70 gallons per minute. So
Okay.
there's another well drill they tell me that goes deeper, and that's going to probably be our next investigation. And you would think that we're running water. I thought we'd have all the water we want, shallow, but
Yeah, but what good's that gonna do you at all at the pump stations?
nothing. I'm talking about the plant. This water
but
just
that-
uses the plant.
Yeah, but
We're talking about water.
We use water at all of the different pump stations.
No, we don't. At the pump stations, we have hydrants to clean the basins, that's a flat fee,
You don't have water at the pump station?
just for hydrants to wash them, to wash the wet wells. We don't need water there. Narrow's an old pump station, has a bathroom that nobody uses.
What if you have an emergency at the pump station?
Like what?
Like, need your eyes flushed?
Okay, we got bottles of alkaline water.
Have that at the pump stations?
Yes, pump stations, trucks, we keep everything there. That's an emergency thing, yes. That's emergency eye wash stations. Doesn't rely on water. They're containers. You crack them, flush your eyes. Now, if you need more, then that's just to get you to maybe the hospital, have an ambulance. I'm not so sure how much, but that's what we do. Water's tough to get to pump stations. But anyways,
But if you look at the water bills we've been paying, some of them are just plain minimum, 120. That tells me we're not using a whole lot, but
No.
because we have water system, use it or not, we have to pay minimum.
we do. You'll see these little hydrants. They're not even big hydrants. We pay a fee, annual fee, just to have that there.
Just like all of us do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, we pay to that. But the water plant, when we run out of water, we consume it. And when we consume it, you look at what we consume, it could be $20,000 in a month, a billing cycle, for just that one event, because it's real costly. So that's why I thought a well would be the way to go, but we couldn't find water.
Yep, okay. Have anything else there?
No, I'm gonna leave it at that. The IMA I was gonna discuss briefly, and what I'm gonna look to the board's direction is, we have 200,000 gallons a day that they comes to us. Bourne built a treatment plant, 100,000 gallons a day, and I don't know what it's taking. And then they have their buildings downtown, and we're trying to figure that out. I think they say that's around 80,000, and we think that the treatment plant's around 80,000. I got to verify those numbers. When they have a problem with the treatment plant, they just flip a button and send us all the flow. And whatever is taken out their treatment plant, which may or may not be toxic, they just flip it and send it to us. I would like to send a letter to them and saying that they need permission to flip that button. It can't be automatic. And so I would like to send a letter to Bourne and say, listen, you've got your pump treatment plant. If my treatment plant has a problem, I can't divert it anywhere. I got to figure it out. You need to figure out if you have an issue. I don't want you, because that scares me.
You gotta go, we could
When
get a
they flip
lagoon
that-
full of their stuff.
And my concern is when they get to the 200,000, because they're going to use downtown and there, and all of a sudden they use more, and the 200,000 is coming from what's not sewered. That goes to the sewer plant, so they split it. And then they send it to us, it's going to be greater than 200,000, because I have no way of monitoring it, because they send us what they're using. They've never put a flow meter that we have any privy to or whatever, and we don't even know it's calibrated, so I'm nervous, and I think we
What
should.
line
This
does
is what
that
has to
come?
be negotiated in the
What line?
Comes
IMA.
into
It has to
Cohasset
be
Narrows pump
gallons.
station.
Okay, so,
We have no, and they don't tell us.
I know last year you were talking about wanting to put a meter in there to see exactly what we were getting from.
We did an experiment, and we didn't get an actual reading because there was no infiltration, which is a big number, and if they send it to us, we've got to take care of it, so we're treating water, so they need to, that's part of their consumption. So we're going to do it again during the busy season. We're hoping to get a wet spring. When it starts to get busy, we're going to do it again to get a better feel
Yeah.
of what's really happening, so we got to redo it.
we're
That's
taking
crazy.
sewer from Hideaway Village.
We are.
That's one site. And
That's
the
right.
other one from downtown Buzzards Bay.
That is correct.
So there's two feeds coming to us from Buzzards Bay, or
From
Bourne.
Bourne, yes.
Okay. And we don't have we have trouble measuring how much we are receiving from Hideaway and downtown.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
That's all. And so I just want to be able to say to them, you can't just flip a button, a ball valve, and say, I'm sending it to Wareham, without Wareham's permission.
Motion to instruct the superintendent, no, or director.
Why have we never put meters on those two lots?
It's an IMA issue. There's 2 meters. One is at the fire station in Bourne, and one is at the Hideaway Village in Bourne. The IMA states that they maintain the meters, and they send us calibrations annually. We've never got a calibration. I need permission to go there to just look at the numbers, and I haven't got permission only once. And when I went, the meter was broken. So it's been an ongoing thing for years and years and
Permission
years.
from
Town of Bourne.
You need permission from the town of Bourne to put a meter on Wareham?
No, I didn't. The reason I can't put it in Wareham is because it has to be a partial flume, because it comes down a sewer line into a manhole. And you can't put a flow meter on a gravity line. You got to build a partial flume.
He's
So-
saying they have the information, they're just not allowing him to see it. Is
That's
that right?
important. No, yes, it is,
That's-
but what Peter's saying is put one on our side.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
I don't want to trust them for anything.
Yeah, I
I
know.
want to know what they're sending us per gallon, period. I don't care what it costs us to do it, we'll make the money back.
It would have to be continuous to get a real reading, and the cost is quite expensive, but it has to be a partial flume
Pass it on.
because the gravity,
16%.
I probably, yeah, I never looked at Bill and Bourne.
Why not?
It gets dicey. The IMA is controlled by the town administrator and dealt upon by the sewer commission, the selectmen.
I mean,
Arbitrarily, we
they're
try to do
literally
the best we
dumping
can,
on
but
us.
I've been saying that for years.
I'll entertain a motion to instruct the superintendent to draft a letter with these questions to the Board of Commissioners, Sewer Commissioners in Bourne.
At my level, I address the town engineer. That's my level. And the town engineer has the ears of the town administrator.
Oh.
I'd rather him go to her and say, this is what's going on. I don't feel, I mean, I've had no problem. I dealt with town administrators, but I feel
Direct
that,
your draft to the
Yeah.
appropriate people.
and then he can go to her and say, hey, listen, this is an issue, you can get permission, because I've talked to the town administrator who said, yes, same thing with, we have a lot of hydrogen sulfide. I had to put a meter at our cost that we maintain at the manhole at Cohasset, because they burnt out 4 manholes, they refused to pay for them. And they said they don't have any odors and they don't have, so I've got a meter, and I can show you hydrogen sulfide that's high as 400 ppm that'll kill you if you go in it, and it destroys everything, and the neighbor's overwhelmed by odors. So we're doing that, but it never goes anywhere. It hasn't gone, so
May I have a second?
those are
Second.
issues.
Any further discussion?
Sure.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The vote 400. Draft the letter, Guy.
Okay, I will. And I'll send it to you before I send it.
I still think that you should speak to the Stonewall and renegotiate the IMA and have some input from the sewer board.
I agree.
And let that be one of the items.
Because Guy hasn't been able to find a contract that they've signed, the renewal, and it was
There's got to be one somewhere.
Well,
You have to go,
Make an assumption that
Well, you
they
can
signed
pull
it,
a-
but you don't
I'm assuming,
recall.
I don't have a copy. I'm assuming that it was signed. I think we'd probably have to go back 10 years, maybe more. It was a 10-year anniversary, and I know, and I forget the selectmen at the time, but they did the renewal. And at least there we would have, there's nothing been done since then, but there's a renewal. And the last 10-year renewal, no one did anything with. It's
Yeah.
ongoing.
Patty's
So-
somebody's down in the basement somewhere.
Yeah,
Down
so,
the hall, but
yeah.
She said she'd dig it out when she has an opportunity.
I'll keep looking too, but I don't have a signed copy, and I'm sure that everything was endorsed.
Indeed, you would-
I don't,
You have it signed.
I don't have it, but I'm sure it does, yes, so
Yeah, so we'll get that done too. We'll look into that, Peter.
I think that makes
Anything else?
sense. And I'm good, I'm good.
Any unfinished business?
Thank you.
There being none, our next meeting date is June 6th.
Mr. Chairman, one quick thing, the
Yes.
budget, $300,000 in unforeseen. It's called unforeseen, unexpected, $300,000 in that budget. I think the accountant mentioned she may need up to $200,000, so there may be money left in, so I'll verify all
In
that.
FY '23.
Yes, I'll verify all that.
But right now, it's all available in FY '24.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I make a motion, we adjourn at 8:20.
I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No, there'll be no discussion for an adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote, 400, excuse me.
I'm sending around 3